Senior observer Caliph pressed her lateral appendages against the viewing dome of the cloaked observation vessel, her crystalline eyes reflecting the blue-green marble of Earth below. After 3 decades of watching this developing world, she had grown accustomed to filing the same reports. Industrial civilization, progressing along expected collapse trajectory. The Galactic Coalition's anthropological division had seen it countless times before. Species discover fossil fuels, burn through their resources, and either transcend their limitations or destroy themselves. Humans, with their smoke-belching factories and crude rocket technology, seemed firmly on track for the latter. Senior observer, her assistant, Merrick's, called from the analysis station. "We're detecting anomalous energy signatures from the North American continent." Caliph suppressed a chitter of annoyance. "Another nuclear test. These humans too love their destructive toys." "No, Senior. This is different." Merrick's sensory frills fluttered with confusion. "The pattern resembles molecular manipulation, but at a scale our instruments must be misreading." Caliph glided across the observation deck, her bioluminescent patches pulsing with skepticism. The humans barely understood quantum mechanics, let alone molecular engineering. She had expected another century of development before they even approached such technology. The holographic display showed a pulsing red dot centered over the Rocky Mountains. The energy signature spiraled outward in fractal patterns that made her inner membranes quiver. "Run a diagnostic on the sensors," she ordered. "Already done, Senior. 3 times. Merrick's voice trembled. "The readings are accurate. The humans are somehow manipulating matter at the molecular level, but they're using methods we've never seen before." Caliph's professional detachment cracked. In 15,000 cycles of observation across hundreds of developing worlds, she had never encountered anything like this. The humans weren't following any known technological progression path. They had somehow stumbled upon something new. "Connect me to Coalition Science Command," she ordered, her voice steady despite her growing unease. As she waited for the quantum-entangled communication to establish, she watched the energy patterns spread. They resembled the theoretical models for molecular assembly that had been dismissed as impossible centuries ago. Too energy-intensive, too unstable to maintain. Yet there it was, happening beneath their sensors, defying everything the Coalition thought they knew about technological development. The communication crystal chimed. "Science Command, Speaker Vaxith responding. Report your emergency." Observer Caliph. "Speaker, we have a Class 1 deviation in human technological development. They've achieved molecular manipulation capabilities, but using unknown methodologies. Request immediate analysis and protocol adjustment." A long pause followed. Caliph could almost feel the shock rippling through the distant command center. Class 1 deviations were almost unheard of. They indicated a fundamental challenge to Coalition understanding of scientific progression. "Impossible," Vaxith finally responded. "Their energy infrastructure couldn't support such technology. Their computational systems are generations behind the required." "With respect, Speaker," Caliph interrupted, her professional facade cracking further, "they're doing it right now. And they're doing it without the energy requirements our models predict. They're doing it wrong, but it's working." She sent the sensor data through the quantum link. Another long pause followed, broken only by the sound of multiple Coalition scientists chittering in disbelief in the background. "Maintain observation," Vaxith ordered finally, "but increase sensor coverage. If the humans have found a way to circumvent the standard laws of technological progression." The speaker's voice trailed off. Caliph understood the unspoken concern. The Coalition's entire system of classifying and managing developing civilizations was based on their understanding of how technologies must progress. If the humans had found another way. "Additional observation ships are being dispatched," Vaxith continued. "Do not, under any circumstances, allow your presence to be detected. If the humans truly have achieved this breakthrough, everything changes." As the communication ended, Caliph turned back to the viewing dome. The planet below suddenly looked different to her. Not a primitive industrial world spinning toward its inevitable crisis point, but something far more dangerous, an anomaly. In her 15,000 cycles of observation, Caliph had learned one crucial truth. Anomalies changed galaxies, and humanity had just become the biggest anomaly she had ever encountered. Dr. Amanda Mitchell pressed her palm against the reinforced observation window, feeling the deep resonant hum that permeated the facility. 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by layers of granite and advanced sensors, her team had just changed everything. They just didn't know it yet. Running final verification sequence, Dr. James Cooper called out from the control station, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Quantum field stabilizers at 98%. Amanda nodded, her eyes fixed on the central chamber. Inside, suspended in a web of electromagnetic fields, a cloud of iron particles hung like metallic mist. Traditional physics said what they were attempting was impossible. The energy requirements alone should have required a small nuclear reactor. But they weren't using traditional physics. Initiating harmonic resonance, Sarah Rodriguez announced from her station. The hum deepened, dropping to a frequency that made Amanda's bones vibrate. Earth's magnetic field is responding. We're getting the amplification effect we theorized. This was the key to their breakthrough, using the planet's own magnetic field as both power source and stabilizer. Every other research team had tried to force molecular assembly through brute computational power and massive energy inputs. Amanda's team had instead learned to listen to the subtle harmonic frequencies that existed in all matter. Field coherence at optimal levels, James reported. Ready for assembly sequence. Amanda took a deep breath. They'd run this experiment dozens of times over the past year, each attempt getting closer to success. The last 3 had produced partial results, crude structures that showed their theory was sound. But today, they were attempting something far more ambitious. Begin primary sequence, she ordered. The metallic mist in the chamber began to swirl, forming complex geometric patterns as the magnetic fields guided each particle into position. The hum changed pitch, becoming almost musical. Amanda felt it in her chest, a resonance that seemed to connect her to the very heart of the mountain. Molecular alignment confirmed, Sarah called out. Structure matrix is forming. It's holding. On the quantum level, billions of iron atoms were dancing to the Earth's magnetic song, arranging themselves into patterns more complex than any traditional manufacturing process could achieve. The cloud of particles began to take shape, transforming from mist into solid form. My God, James whispered. Look at the efficiency readings. Amanda was already looking. According to their instruments, the entire process was consuming less energy than a typical household appliance. The Earth's magnetic field was doing most of the work, their equipment simply providing the guidance and harmonic frequencies needed to shape the material. The hum peaked, then settled into a steady rhythm. In the chamber, floating in the electromagnetic web, hung a perfect sphere of intricately patterned steel. Its surface was covered in nanoscale structures that should have taken weeks to manufacture using conventional methods. They had done it in less than 3 minutes. Structure analysis coming in, Sarah reported, her voice trembling with excitement. Internal and external patterns matched design specifications exactly. No defects detected. It's perfect. Amanda finally allowed herself to smile. Time to broadcast. James nodded. Signal prepped and ready. Every major research institution and manufacturing center will receive our data packet simultaneously. Send it, Amanda ordered. She turned back to the window, watching their creation slowly rotate in the electromagnetic field. Time to wake up the world. As James transmitted their findings, Amanda thought about the implications. This wasn't just a new manufacturing process. It was a fundamental shift in humanity's relationship with matter itself. They had found a way to speak the language of molecules, to sing to the very essence of metal, and make it dance to their tune. The deep resonant hum of their facility would soon be echoed by others around the world. A new industrial revolution was about to begin, one that would transform Earth's manufacturing capabilities overnight. And somewhere, far above their underground laboratory, unknown observers were about to realize that humanity was far more innovative than they had imagined. "Dr. Mitchell," Sarah called out, her voice suddenly tense. "We're getting some strange readings from our upper atmosphere sensors. Something up there is responding to our broadcast." Amanda's smile faded. Perhaps they weren't the only ones interested in this breakthrough after all. 3 weeks after Dr. Mitchell's breakthrough, Manhattan's skyline changed overnight. The deep, resonant hum of molecular assembly centers echoed between skyscrapers as new structures literally grew from the ground up. Construction workers stood beside engineers, watching in awe as theoretical blueprints became reality in hours instead of months. "They're calling it the Thunder Revolution," reporter Michael Chen said into his camera, standing before a rising tower that seemed to sing as it grew. "Behind me, the Williams Chen Manufacturing Center is demonstrating the power of harmonic molecular assembly. What would have taken 2 years to build using traditional methods will be completed by sunset." The broadcast cut to Dr. Amanda Mitchell, speaking from her Rocky Mountain facility. "What we're seeing isn't just faster construction," she explained, dark circles under her eyes betraying weeks of endless work. "The structures being created are fundamentally different. The molecular patterns we can achieve allow for buildings that are 10 times stronger while using half the material." Across the globe, the transformation accelerated. Beijing's molecular assembly centers synchronized with Moscow's, their harmonics creating a symphony that weather satellites could detect from orbit. The sound of progress became Earth's heartbeat, a constant thrumming that vibrated through the planet's magnetic field. In Kenya, Dr. Kamari Okoro stood in the control room of Africa's first major assembly facility, watching as her team manufactured advanced water purification systems at unprecedented speeds. "The biggest challenge," she told her assembled staff, "isn't the technology anymore. It's our imagination. We have to completely rethink what's possible." The global economy lurched, then stabilized, then soared. Traditional manufacturing companies either adapted or became obsolete overnight. Stock markets oscillated wildly before settling into a new pattern, one based on innovation rather than production capacity. At the International Space Center in Geneva, Dr. James Cooper presented the next phase of human expansion. "The space elevator isn't just possible now, it's inevitable." His presentation showed molecular assembly platforms that would grow straight up through the atmosphere, each one singing in harmony with Earth's magnetic field. "We're looking at full construction completion within 8 months." The alien observers above watched in mounting concern as humanity's industrial capability exploded. Their sensors detected assembly centers sprouting across every continent, each one adding its voice to the growing symphony of human progress. Sarah Rodriguez, now heading her own research division, made another breakthrough in the Atacama Desert facility. "The harmonics aren't just assembly instructions," she announced to the global scientific community. "They're a new form of data transmission. The molecular patterns can store and transmit information. We're not just building with matter anymore, we're teaching it to remember." The implications rippled through the scientific world. Quantum computing, previously held back by material limitations, took a giant leap forward. The first quantum processors built using harmonic assembly showed processing capabilities that broke every known prediction model. In orbit, the first sections of humanity's space elevators began to take shape. The structures hummed the same deep resonance as the surface facilities, creating a chord that stretched from Earth to the edge of space. Engineers working on the platforms reported a strange sensation, a feeling of connection to something vast and ancient, as if the very act of assembly was teaching them a language they had always known but somehow forgotten. Dr. Mitchell stood in her original facility, now expanded into a sprawling research complex inside the mountain. The hum of assembly was everywhere, a constant reminder of how far they'd come in just 3 weeks. She placed her hand on the observation window, feeling the vibrations that had changed human civilization forever. "Dr. Mitchell, One of her new assistants called out. "We're detecting some unusual patterns in the upper atmosphere. The harmonic frequencies are being reflected back, but they're slightly altered." Amanda smiled. She had suspected they weren't alone since that first day. The question wasn't if they had an audience, but when their observers would finally decide to introduce themselves. "Keep monitoring those reflections," she ordered, "and send a message to all major assembly centers. Tell them to prepare for an upgrade to the harmonic protocols." She paused, looking up at the rocky ceiling above, imagining the stars beyond. "I think we're about to learn some new frequencies." The Coalition's diplomatic vessel materialized above New York City in a shower of quantum particles, its bioorganic hull gleaming in the morning sun. They had chosen to appear over the United Nations building, following standard first contact protocols for primitive civilizations. The ship's elegant curves and flowing lines were meant to awe and intimidate developing species. Instead, it was the Coalition's representatives who found themselves staring in disbelief. A massive human vessel hung opposite them, assembled in the mere hours since their arrival had been detected. Its hull thrummed with the now familiar resonance of molecular manufacturing, but the scale was unprecedented. The ship's surface rippled with nanoscale patterns that seemed to dance in time with Earth's magnetic field. Senior Observer Caliph, now serving as first contact coordinator, felt her inner membranes quiver. "Impossible," she whispered. "They couldn't have built that so quickly." Actually, a human voice responded through their communication system. "We assembled it in about 3 hours. Would you like a tour?" In the United Nations Assembly Hall, representatives from Earth's nations gathered to meet their celestial visitors. Dr. Amanda Mitchell stood at the podium, flanked by Dr. James Cooper and Dr. Sarah Rodriguez. Before them, the Coalition delegation tried to maintain their diplomatic composure. "You must understand our concern," Speaker Vaxith began, his crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. "Your species has bypassed centuries of normal technological development. The Coalition has protocols. Protocols based on assumptions about how technology must progress," Amanda interrupted, her voice firm but diplomatic. "We chose a different path. Instead of forcing matter to bend to our will, we learned to listen to it." As if to emphasize her point, the deep resonance of assembly centers across Manhattan created a harmonious backdrop to their conversation. The sound seemed to make the Coalition representatives uncomfortable. "What you're doing shouldn't be possible," Caliph interjected. "The energy requirements alone are minimal when you work with natural frequencies instead of against them," James explained. He gestured, and a holographic display materialized between them, showing the intricate dance of molecules during assembly. "We're not forcing the molecular bonds. We're asking them to form, using the planet's own magnetic field as a guide." Sarah stepped forward, adding, "And we've only begun to explore the possibilities. Each new assembly reveals patterns we hadn't considered. The harmonic frequencies carry information we're still learning to decode." The Coalition representatives exchanged troubled looks. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. Humanity should have been awed by their advanced technology, eager to learn from their superior knowledge. Instead, these humans were already pushing the boundaries of science the Coalition had thought immutable. "Perhaps," Vaxith suggested carefully, "we could establish a cultural exchange. Share our knowledge." The building trembled slightly as another assembly center activated nearby. Through the windows, they could see a new structure taking shape, its surface patterns matching those of the human ship hovering above. "We would welcome an exchange," Amanda replied with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "But first, we'd like to understand why you've been watching us for so long without making contact." Caliph's luminescent patches flickered in surprise. "You knew. Your cloaking technology is impressive," James acknowledged, "but it creates subtle distortions in Earth's magnetic field. Once we learned to listen to the field's harmonics, we could detect your ships easily. We had to be sure you were ready," Vaxith explained, trying to regain diplomatic ground. "Your species' development has been unexpected." Amanda nodded. We get that a lot. But now that we're talking, there's something you should know. She paused, making eye contact with each coalition representative. We've detected similar harmonic patterns coming from distant stars, natural formations that sing in frequencies we're just beginning to understand. Would you happen to know anything about that? The silence that followed was broken only by the constant, thunderous song of human progress. In that moment, both species realized that their relationship would be very different from what either had anticipated. The age of human isolation was over, but it wasn't ending quite the way the coalition had planned. The Centauri Trade Exchange fell silent for the first time in 300 years. Alien traders stared at their holographic displays as market values shifted at unprecedented rates. The cause? A simple demonstration by Earth's first official trade delegation. Dr. Sarah Rodriguez stood before the gathered representatives of 17 spacefaring civilizations. Behind her, a molecular assembly platform hummed to life, its frequencies tuned to match the local star's magnetic field. Within minutes, it had constructed a complex quantum processing core that would have taken coalition biofactories 3 years to grow. The price point, she announced to the stunned audience, is negotiable. In the Orion corporate sphere, the largest manufacturing consortium in coalition space initiated emergency protocols. Their organic shipyards, which grew vessels through carefully cultivated crystal matrices, suddenly faced competition from human facilities that could assemble similar ships in days rather than decades. We must adapt, declared Executive Director Lyrics to his board of directors, his crystalline form flickering with stress patterns. The humans aren't just changing the market, they're rewriting the fundamental rules of manufacturing. Dr. James Cooper, leading Earth's industrial expansion team, received an urgent message from a collective of silicon-based species in the Vega sector. Their traditional construction methods, based on gravitational compression over centuries, were now obsolete. They offered mineral rights to 12 star systems in exchange for human assembly technology. Interesting proposal, he told Dr. Mitchell over quantum comm. But I'm more intrigued by the harmonics their worlds generate. Each silicon planet has its own song, and they all interweave. Amanda, now serving as Earth's Chief Technology Officer for Extraterrestrial Affairs, understood immediately. Set up the exchange. We might learn as much from their planetary harmonics as they learned from our assembly methods. The transformation rippled across known space. Coalition species that had relied on biological growth processes for millennia found themselves facing a revolution in manufacturing philosophy. Some resisted, claiming that molecular assembly was unnatural and disrupted the cosmic order. Then the Proxima colony crisis changed everything. A solar flare had damaged the colony's environmental systems. Traditional replacement parts would take months to grow. The colony had hours. This is Earth emergency response, crackled across their frequencies. Hold position. Assembly platforms deploying now. 3 human ships emerged from fold space, their hulls singing with familiar resonance. They carried portable assembly platforms designed for emergency response. Within 2 hours, they had manufactured and installed complete replacement systems, saving 12,000 coalition citizens. The footage spread across galactic networks. The sight of human technology saving an alien colony transformed public opinion overnight. The same unnatural methods that had disrupted the economy had preserved life itself. In the Coalition Science Academy, young researchers began studying Earth's historical industrial development, searching for clues they had missed. How had a primitive species discovered something their own civilization had dismissed as impossible? The answer, lectured Dr. Calith, who had transformed from observer to student of human innovation, lies in their very limitations. Without access to biogrowth technology, humans were forced to understand matter at its most fundamental level. They learned to listen to the universe's underlying harmonics because they had no choice but to find another way. Back on Earth, Amanda stood in her original Rocky Mountain facility, now expanded into a global research hub. The deep resonance of assembly platforms worldwide had become a constant background song. Earth's industrial heartbeat broadcasting to the stars. New harmonic patterns detected, her assistant reported. They match the frequencies we recorded from the silicon worlds, but they're coming from unexplored space. Amanda smiled. Humanity hadn't just changed manufacturing. They'd discovered a new way to listen to the galaxy itself. Each world they encountered added its voice to an ever-growing symphony of creation. "Record everything," she ordered. "We're not just building anymore. We're learning the universe's own language of assembly." She paused, feeling the familiar vibration through the floor. "And I think it has a lot more to teach us. In the depths of space, on worlds yet unknown, ancient harmonics waited to be discovered. Humanity's industrial revolution had become something far greater, a key to understanding the very music of creation itself." The concert hall on New Venus fell silent as master composer Xylith stepped onto the stage. The crystalline being's facets caught the light, sending rainbow refractions across the audience of humans and aliens alike. Behind them stood Earth's newest molecular assembly platform, its surfaces gleaming with nanoscale patterns. "Tonight," Xylith announced, their voice resonating through the chamber, "we premiere the first true hybrid symphony. A merger of traditional coalition harmonic structures with Earth's industrial songs." Dr. Sarah Rodriguez sat in the front row beside Ambassador Caliph, both waiting breathlessly. This performance would either bridge the cultural gap between their civilizations or highlight their irreconcilable differences. The assembly platform hummed to life, its frequencies matching the magnetic field of New Venus, as it began manufacturing a complex crystalline structure. Xylith's body started vibrating in harmony, adding ancient coalition melodies to the industrial rhythm. The result was breathtaking. The platform's deep resonance provided a foundation, while Xylith's crystalline songs wove through it like silk through steel. The structure taking shape became both sculpture and instrument, its growing forms amplifying and modulating the harmonies. "It's beautiful," Caliph whispered, her luminescent patches pulsing in time with the music. "We never imagined your industrial processes could create such poetry." In orbit above, the massive shipyards of New Venus added their own voices to the symphony. Each assembly line adjusted its frequencies to complement the concert below, creating a solar system-spanning orchestra of creation. The phenomenon spread. Across coalition space, artists and engineers began collaborating on ever more ambitious projects. The Sirius Cultural Exchange commissioned a series of orbital platforms that manufactured sculptures while performing complex harmonic compositions. Each piece was unique, shaped by the local star's magnetic field and the artistic vision of its creators. On Earth, Dr. Amanda Mitchell watched a holographic feed of these performances from her Rocky Mountain facility. "We've come so far," she mused to Dr. James Cooper. "From building basic structures to creating art that spans star systems." "The coalition's starting to understand," James replied, manipulating a display showing harmonic patterns from across known space. "It's not just about manufacturing anymore. Every celestial body has its own song. Every magnetic field tells a story. We're just learning to listen and add our own verses." The research team had discovered that different stellar types produced distinct harmonic signatures. Red dwarfs hummed deep, steady rhythms, while blue giants sang in soaring, dynamic frequencies. By adapting their assembly platforms to these local conditions, they could create structures that were both more efficient and more beautiful. Back on New Venus, Xylith's performance reached its crescendo. The crystalline structure now stood 20 meters tall, its facets catching and reflecting light in perfect time with the music. As the final harmonies faded, the audience sat in stunned silence before erupting in thunderous applause. "This changes everything," Sarah told Caliph as they left the concert hall. "Your people's artistic traditions going back millions of years, combined with our industrial innovations." "Indeed," Caliph agreed, her diplomatic formality softened by genuine emotion. "We thought your manufacturing processes were crude, utilitarian. Instead, you've shown us a new form of artistry, one that speaks to the very rhythm of the universe." News of the performance spread rapidly. Coalition conservatories began offering courses in industrial harmonics. Human engineering schools established departments of stellar music. The boundary between art and industry blurred, then dissolved entirely. In the Centauri systems, a group of human and coalition artists embarked on their most ambitious project yet, a vast network of assembly platforms synchronized to create a perpetual symphony, each installation adding its voice to an ever-evolving composition. Amanda stood in her facility, feeling the familiar vibration of the assembly platforms. But now she heard it differently, not just as the sound of progress, but as part of a greater universal song. Humanity hadn't just revolutionized manufacturing. They'd discovered a new way to understand the music of creation itself. New harmonic patterns detected, her assistant reported excitedly. They're coming from the galactic core, and they're like nothing we've ever heard before. Amanda smiled. The universe, it seemed, had many more songs to teach them. The void appeared without warning in the Proxima Centauri system, a perfect sphere of absolute darkness that consumed light, matter, and even the local magnetic field. Coalition scientists watched in horror as it began to expand, doubling in size every 27 hours. 3 coalition worlds lie in its projected path. Speaker Vaxith announced to the Emergency Council. Traditional evacuation methods would take months. We have days. Dr. Amanda Mitchell stood before the assembled representatives, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We've detected something interesting about the void. It's not just consuming matter. It's disrupting local harmonic frequencies. The council chamber erupted in confused murmurs. Dr. James Cooper stepped forward, projecting a holographic model of the anomaly. Every celestial body has its own song, he explained. This void, it's creating discord. Anti-harmonics that unravel the very fabric of space-time. And how does this help us? Demanded a coalition elder, their crystalline form flickering with stress patterns. Because, Dr. Sarah Rodriguez interjected, if it's disrupting harmonics, we might be able to counter it with the right frequency. The plan came together in hours. Earth's emergency response fleet, now joined by coalition vessels, converged on the edge of the expanding void. Each ship carried modified assembly platforms, calibrated to generate specific harmonic patterns. This is either brilliant or insane, Caliph observed from the command ship, watching as humans and coalition engineers worked side by side to adjust the platforms. Sometimes they're the same thing, Amanda replied with a grim smile. Ready to make some noise. The first wave of platforms activated, their resonant frequencies synchronized with Proxima Centauri's magnetic field. The void's expansion slowed but didn't stop. Coalition scientists added their knowledge of ancient harmonic patterns, fine-tuning the frequencies. It's not enough, James reported, his hands flying over the control interface. We need more power, more harmony. Sarah's eyes widened as she studied the readings. Look at these patterns. They're similar to the songs we detected from the silicon worlds. What if we added those frequencies? A quantum message flashed across space. Within hours, representatives from the Silicon Collective arrived, their crystalline bodies vibrating with unique harmonic signatures. They joined their songs with the assembly platform's resonance, creating new patterns of interference. The void's expansion slowed further but still didn't stop. We're missing something, Amanda muttered, studying the harmonics display. Then she saw it, a pattern hidden in the chaos, a rhythm she recognized from Earth's core. It's not about power, she announced. It's about finding the right song. She ordered all platforms to recalibrate, matching the fundamental frequency of Earth's magnetic field. The coalition ships added their harmonics, the silicon beings contributed their crystalline songs, and the assembly platforms provided the baseline rhythm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, at the edge of the void, a spark of light appeared. The darkness began to recede, driven back by the combined harmonics of 3 civilizations working in concert. The assembly platform's song grew stronger, reinforced by the natural frequencies of nearby stars and planets. Even the emergency vessels themselves began to vibrate in harmony. "It's working," Sarah exclaimed, watching as the void contracted. "The harmonics are restoring normal spacetime." The operation lasted 12 hours. When it was over, the void had collapsed to a pinpoint before vanishing completely. In its place hung a sphere of newly assembled matter, its surface etched with patterns that matched the combined harmonics that had created it. "Analysis confirms the area is stable," James reported. "Normal spacetime has been restored." In the council chamber afterward, Speaker Vaxith addressed the assembled representatives. "We owe humanity a debt of gratitude. Their understanding of harmonic assembly not only saved 3 worlds, but has shown us a new way to defend against cosmic threats." Amanda stood with her team, watching the delegates discuss the implications of their success. "You know what this means," she said quietly. "Those harmonic patterns we detected from the galactic core could be more than just background noise," Sarah finished. "They could be ancient defense systems, still running after millions of years." "Or warnings," James added. The assembly platforms continued their song, now permanently stationed around the site of the void as an early warning system. The crisis had passed, but it had left them with new questions. What other cosmic songs waited to be discovered? And what were they trying to tell them? 3 centuries after Earth's thunderous entry into galactic society, young Selthar pressed their crystalline appendages against the observation window of the Rocky Mountain Historical Center. Behind the reinforced glass, Dr. Amanda Mitchell's original molecular assembly platform continued its work, manufacturing small demonstration pieces for visitors while maintaining the exact frequency that had changed the course of galactic history. "The harmonics feel different here," the young coalition scientist noted to their human guide, Dr. Marcus Mitchell Rodriguez, great-grandson of Sarah Rodriguez and part of the Mitchell scientific legacy. "Earth's magnetic field has a unique signature," Marcus explained, feeling the familiar vibration through the floor. "It's why the breakthrough happened here. Our planet wasn't just our home, it was our first teacher." The facility had grown into a sprawling complex that stretched both above and below the mountain. Observatory domes tracked the songs of distant stars, while deep underground, researchers continued to explore the relationship between matter and harmony. In orbit, Earth had become the industrial heart of known space. Massive manufacturing platforms created a constant symphony that newcomers could hear from light years away. But they weren't just building ships and structures anymore. They were composing with the very fabric of reality. "Your ancestors' discovery changed everything," Selthar said, their crystalline form reflecting the blue glow of the assembly platform. "Not just manufacturing, but our understanding of the universe itself." Marcus nodded, leading them deeper into the facility. They passed halls filled with visiting scientists from across the galaxy, each studying different aspects of harmonic theory. Some focused on industrial applications, others on artistic expression, and an increasing number on the mysterious signals still emanating from the galactic core. The latest research suggests that the ancient harmonics we're detecting might be more than just natural phenomena, Marcus explained, entering his private laboratory. "We've identified patterns that appear to be artificially constructed, perhaps by civilizations that existed millions of years ago." He activated a holographic display showing a map of known harmonic sources across the galaxy. Each point pulsed with its own unique rhythm, but together they formed something greater, a vast, interconnected network of cosmic songs. "The Void incident 3 centuries ago proved that harmonics could affect spacetime itself," he continued. "What if these ancient signals are part of something bigger? A galaxy-wide system of some kind?" In the years since humanity's breakthrough, their understanding of harmonic science had grown exponentially. Every new discovery seemed to lead to more questions, more possibilities. The Coalition, once dismissive of Earth's primitive technology, now sent their brightest minds to study at human institutions. "Listen," Marcus said softly, activating a recording from deep space, the laboratory filled with a haunting melody, the combined harmonics of 1,000 stars, filtered through the lens of human understanding. Every celestial body tells a story. We just had to learn how to listen. Zelthar's crystalline surface vibrated in response to the stellar song. It's remarkable how your species went from being observed as primitives to teaching the galaxy a new way of seeing reality. Not new, Marcus corrected with a smile. We just rediscovered something that was always there. The universe has been singing since the beginning. We simply added our voice to the chorus. Above them, the endless dance of molecular assembly continued, Earth's industrial symphony broadcasting into space. But now it was part of something greater. A galactic concert of creation that spanned light years and united species. In her final speech before retiring, Dr. Amanda Mitchell had said it best. We thought we were learning to build with matter, but we were actually learning the universe's native language. Every frequency, every harmonic pattern, is part of a conversation that's been going on since the first stars ignited. As Marcus looked out at the assembled platforms that now orbited Earth like a crown of seeing stars, he knew humanity's journey was far from over. The galaxy's greatest mystery still waited to be unraveled, hidden in the harmonics between the stars. The thunder of human progress had become a symphony of discovery, echoing across space and time. And somewhere, in the vast darkness between the stars, ancient songs waited to be heard, carrying messages from civilizations long past to those yet to come. Earth's industrial revolution hadn't just changed manufacturing. It had given humanity a key to unlock the music of creation itself. And that song, like the human spirit that discovered it, would echo through eternity.